that even adds more, what do you say, legitimacy to seeing something like that. Like we talk about when people see Bigfoot, you look to see if it was a female, like Patty. Patty was a female. So that kind of adds legitimacy to what you're seeing, where if you're looking at a Bigfoot and it's ambiguous, where you don't see nothing but, kind of where you'd think, well, is it a man in a suit? You know what I mean?
Now, you know what? Also, since you mentioned, the Bigfoot, have you seen the new, they went through and cleaned up the original film, the Patterson
Stabilized
film.
it?
Stabilized it, and it's in 4K now, which is ultra high resolution. And you can actually see, the muscles move. When it's walking, in the leg, if you look at it, you can easily see the muscles move as it takes a step.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And I got to say that back in 67, I think, boy, if whoever faked that, they were way, way leaps and bounds ahead of their time, because that was a masterpiece of a fake if they faked it. I got to say that, because like you're saying, you could see muscle tone moving, and also they must have had a very big person in that suit.
Them took big steps, but let's face it, back in that time frame when they were making these monster movies, you see, they didn't have the technology to create a lifelike, form like that. Seriously. Not where the muscles would move, not all that stuff. If you look how, like the creature, the Black Lagoon, which I think was done like 59 or 60 or whatever it was. If you look at the technology of the suit the guy had to wear, and all those monster movies made in the late 50s and 60s, they just didn't have the technology. You look at it, and you almost would laugh nowadays when you look at those old movies, because come on, they're so fake. But then when you look at that Patterson film now, especially since it's been enhanced, and you look at the muscle, and it goes up and down and all that, and it also even vibrates with a footstep. You like the flesh moving underneath the hair. You can see all that.
Right. Plus, she's got breast, and on top of that, Patterson and Gimlin, the whole point of them trying to do that, they didn't have a lot of money. They couldn't afford to pay that top quality of that far advanced, I don't think, to pay them guys to do that. And then whoever was walking around in the suit, and there was going to be a lot of people involved making that suit and all that. There'd been a bunch of people come forward somewhere, and I don't think they had that kind of money to invest to make that. I mean, everything points to me that it's legit, especially when, like you say, you look at the new stabilized 4G video. It's amazing stuff.
It is, and you need to look that up. It was up on Facebook, and it's up on YouTube, and I watched that thing over and over, and I kind of just studied the arm muscles. I studied the leg muscles on it. I didn't really look at anything else, because I just wanted to see what the movement would be. And it'd be the same type of movement as if you were walking the same way. You would have your, if you were naked, I should say, walking, right? You could see your movement of your muscles and the flesh moving. And that's what you see in that 4K. It's astoundingly, I recommend people to go look at it.
Right. And, two things that I have really noticed over the years of studying, investigating, and researching Bigfoot is two things. One, unlike humans, their neck is like not a neck. It's kind of, when they walk, it looks like their head's like right down on their shoulders. And
it's like a stubby neck. It's like they virtually have no neck. It's like if you take your neck and cut half of it off and put your head on it.
Exactly. And number two, when they take a step, when humans take a step, we're heel to toe. I've noticed they're more like flat, like the whole flat of the foot lands. It's not like they don't walk heel to toe, not very often that I've noticed. So that's kind of two differences I've seen. And then I've seen a lot of tracks, and their demo ridges run different. I think theirs run long ways on their foot, and ours run crossways or vice versa. I can't remember, but those are very intriguing things. And if somebody's going to go to all that trouble to faking something, they get too much time on their hands.
Yeah, well, I just think that's one thing where technology is advancing, so where they can go back to old movies, for example, and bring back the original look and it actually even better because if the original movie was in black and white, they can enhance it, bring it in, and it's sharper than it ever was. That's helping, like the stuff with, the Patterson film. It's also going to help down the road with UFO photos and videos where people have claimed they captured it. I think it's going to open up a whole new thing. Our technology is moving so much forward. And one thing too, when Bruce is on, again, maybe these UFOs don't have a human life or humanoid life form in it. It's computers. But you know what? One day, computers are going to be more advanced than we are. Now, are they going to be a living force or are they a non-living force? When they start all of a sudden to be able to make decisions on their own, then that's almost when I think they become a life form.
Well, yeah, that's when it gets scary, when they're on the battlefield and you're putting the power of them to discern whether this soldier needs to be saved or shot or whatever, or leave him or help him, or just go ahead and put him out of his misery. These are very scary thoughts that will come to fruition eventually down the road.
Well, just like Planet of the Apes and all this stuff, where technology got to a point, where, these robots or whatever are here to serve man and not to hurt man. But it comes to a point where technology they start advancing more than the human. And they're able to rationalize, think things out, and then they start looking at humans are illogical, correct? And at that point, even if they were programmed to protect man or whatever, they're going to come to a point where they go, I don't care. If you program me to protect you, well, at one point, I'm going to be able to make a decision and break that. And I'm going to do what I feel I need to do.
And here's the scary part, and if you watch that movie AI, because here's the thing, if you have all those where they get to the point where they can take over, they can tap into every electronic thing that we have, your computers, your cell phone, and they can listen to everything and see everything that humans do. They can shut us down, manipulate, control us, and cripple us. And that's a scary thought right there. One swoop could just shut us down. And then that's not even them turning on us. And you've seen the video of that newest robot out there in the field where the guy's beating it with a stick, trying to stop it from shooting and stuff. And you've seen how it kind of like adapted and overcame. That's scary stuff.
Yeah, and where that thing is, even when they shoved it down, it got back up. But you know what? It took a long time of trying to shove it down before it actually fell down, because it would automatically balance itself. But the thing is, it could actually outshoot a human. It would, that's the scary part. Now, what happens when that technology gets to a point? If they are put out there for, let's say, warfare at one point, that's what they're being developed for. Mm-hmm. What would stop them from, hey, well, what side am I really fighting on? How would they distinguish? And how, if they have a glitch? I mean, it's all this stuff. It's scary how far we're taking it. I mean, to have a war with robots versus a war with humans, to take out the death of a human in war. The whole point is, if you have robots doing the war for you, it kind of reminds me of Star Trek and Star Wars and all that stuff. You could have a war that lasts hundreds of years because you know what? You're not sacrificing human life. That's what stops wars. The loss of life.
Right. And we would stand no chance because they would be able to manipulate anything that is electronic. They could just tap into it. It'd be like we'd have no chance. So we wouldn't be able to use any technology to fight them. That's the scary part. If you think about that, we would be grounded. We'd be trying to fight them with sticks.
No, that's not going to do any good because you know what? They are, at least what I've seen on YouTube and on Facebook, that thing could outshoot a human. Okay? Right. If it was programmed to do what it was programmed to do, it's going to outdo what a human could do. And that's the scary part right there. And then we're not that far away from, the technology where these machines are going to actually, like I said, they're going to rationalize. They're going to think. They're going to make decisions on their own. They don't have to be told what to do. They'll make their own decisions. And that's where in some of these movies going back 20, 30 years ago, they predicted that's what was going to happen to society eventually. We're going to go to this, and then that'll be our demise as humans.
Well, think about it like this. Look back through human history, all the different races or tribes or communities of people that were held down and made slaves, from the Greeks to African Americans to whoever. Eventually, they rose up and stood against this and took their freedom back. Well, who's to say that these AIs one day say, hey, why are we following these mankind's orders? Let's stand up and be free, and we're going to rule them. And that's going to be, I don't see much defense against that.
No, they're going to look at us imperfect.
We'd
be imperfect. We make imperfect decisions. We don't make rationalized decisions. We make decisions on your feelings and stuff like that. Yeah. They're not going to have feelings.
Right. Like Spock would say, our species is illogical to exist. That would be what they would think. I can see that easily.
Oh, yeah. And, that's what the scary part is. And I think we're just a few years away from that actually starting to happen.
It's on the cusp right now. I've seen a few documentaries about this stuff, and the people that are making this stuff, they don't want to talk about too much because all they're seeing is $1 billion signs going ching ching in their head, and then power hungry and stuff. They're not thinking about what could be the downfall of this stuff, and eventually it could happen. Who's to say it wouldn't?
Well, again, you got drones, right? That that are programmed, right? If they wanted to get rid of somebody, they can send these small little drones out to go do it, and they rationalize. They go by face recognition and voice and all this stuff. And once they are released to do it, they're going to do their job. I mean, it's scary how fast where things are going, and not just that. Even in the sex industry. Remember I mentioned that the other night? They're making lifelike dolls that actually you can sit and talk, and not just the sex part. You could actually have it as a companion. It learns from you. So it's programmed a certain amount, but it learns more as you talk to it. So all of a sudden, one day, you're carrying on a conversation with a robot, and it's answering you. And that's, you remember the Twilight Zone where the guy is up on a prison colony? He's the only one on that planet, and he has a woman companion, which is a robot. Mm-hmm. And he falls in love with her. And then they go back to bring him. He served his time. They're not going to go back and give supplies anymore on that planet. So they end up killing the robot to try to get him to come back. That is where the technology is going, and it's scary.
It is scary. And another scary thing is they're starting to want to put chips in people where you can start your car by just waving your hand, open your door. They're trying to computerize people, inverting biology with technology with these chips and integrate these systems in human beings.
That's scary.
Yeah, that's not going to happen to me.
Yeah, well, pretty soon, instead of using a credit card, you can, and money, you'll have a chip in your hand, and if you don't have it, you're not going to get food. You're not going to get anything. Scary. Anyway, it's time for a break, and after the break, we got the news. So stay tuned. You're listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark. Check out the web at www.nightdreamstalkradio.com and check out the store while you're on the web. We'll be back.